Peace comes from within. As the great Buddha once said, it's not something you need to chase or find in the outside world. Yet, in a life filled with distractions, obligations, and endless responsibilities, it's easy to feel like peace is always just out of reach. Many of us convince ourselves that we'll feel calm once we get the promotion, mend a relationship, or fix every external problem. But the truth is, even when those things fall into place, peace remains elusive unless you cultivate it from within. The serenity you seek is already within you, waiting to be unlocked. To begin this journey, you must first understand the nature of the mind. In Buddhist teachings, the mind is often compared to a restless monkey swinging from branch to branch, never still, always jumping from one thought to the next. This monkey mind is what keeps us scattered, overwhelmed, and unable to fully experience the present moment. It's why you might find yourself thinking about a work deadline while you're supposed to be enjoying dinner, or replaying a past argument while trying to fall asleep. The mind, left unchecked, becomes a source of constant noise and tension. But here's the key. The goal isn't to silence the mind completely. That's not its nature. The goal is to observe its movements without being pulled in every direction. When you sit quietly and observe your thoughts, you realize that they are like passing clouds. They come and go. You don't have to chase them, nor do you have to fight them. Through mindfulness meditation, you can train yourself to watch your thoughts as they arise and pass, creating space between your thoughts and your reactions. Imagine yourself watching a river flow by without needing to jump in. This practice allows you to detach from your thoughts and find calm even in the midst of mental chaos. Detachment from your thoughts doesn't mean indifference. It means you stop identifying with every passing thought as if it defines who you are. When you practice this regularly, you develop the ability to recognize when a thought arises and choose whether or not to engage with it. For example, when a negative thought like, "I'm not good enough," surfaces, instead of spiraling into self-doubt, you can observe it and say, "There's that thought again," and let it pass without attaching meaning to it. Over time, this practice quiets the mind and reduces the intensity of anxious or intrusive thoughts. Once you begin observing the mind, the next step is to protect your energy. Energy is one of your most valuable resources, and yet it's often drained by things that don't serve you. Some of these drains are external, like toxic relationships, overstimulation from technology, or demanding work environments. Others are internal, such as negative self-talk, overthinking, or habits that leave you feeling depleted. Protecting your energy means identifying these drains and taking intentional steps to eliminate or reduce their impact. Start by reflecting on what consistently leaves you feeling drained. Is it a particular person who always brings negativity into your life? Is it the habit of scrolling through social media late at night, leaving you restless and comparing yourself to others? Maybe it's the way you ruminate on past mistakes, replaying them over and over. Once you identify these drains, you can set boundaries. Boundaries aren't walls to shut others out. They're guidelines that help you conserve your energy for what truly matters. For example, if a certain relationship feels emotionally taxing, you can limit your interactions or set clear boundaries around what topics you're willing to discuss. If social media is draining you, consider taking regular breaks or setting time limits. Protecting your energy also involves nourishing it through activities that recharge you, like spending time in nature, meditating, or doing something creative. When you protect and replenish your energy, you create the foundation for lasting peace. Another critical step on this journey is rewiring your brain by breaking free from stressful thought patterns. Many of us operate on mental autopilot, reacting to stress in the same habitual ways, whether it's catastrophizing, imagining worst-case scenarios, or criticizing ourselves. These thought patterns become ingrained over time, creating neural pathways that make it easier to fall into the same cycles of anxiety or negativity. But the good news is that the brain is capable of change. Through mindfulness and intentional practice, you can rewire these pathways and develop healthier responses to stress. The first step is to become aware of your thought patterns. When you encounter a stressful situation, pause and notice your automatic reaction. Do you immediately start imagining all the ways things could go wrong? Do you criticize yourself for not handling the situation perfectly? Awareness is the foundation for change because you can't shift a pattern you're not aware of. Once you've identified the thought pattern, practice mindfulness to create a space between the trigger and your reaction. One effective technique is noting. As thoughts arise, mentally note what they are: worrying, overthinking, self-criticism. By acknowledging the thought without engaging with it, you disrupt the automatic cycle. Instead of spiraling into anxiety, you step back and observe the thought from a distance. This simple act of noting helps you break free from the grip of stressful thoughts and regain control over your mind. Over time, you'll find that the intensity of these thoughts diminishes, and you're better able to approach challenges with a calm, clear mind. Another essential practice in achieving inner peace is acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up or resigning yourself to a life of passivity. It means acknowledging reality as it is, without trying to fight or resist it. Much of our suffering comes not from the situations we face, but from our resistance to them. We cling to the belief that things should be different, that life should be easier or more predictable. But when we resist reality, we create internal conflict and amplify our suffering. Consider a situation where you're facing a setback, such as losing a job or going through a breakup. The natural reaction is to resist the pain, to wish things were different. But this resistance only prolongs the suffering. Acceptance, on the other hand, allows you to acknowledge the pain without being consumed by it. It's the difference between being caught in a storm and finding shelter within it. You don't deny the storm's existence, but you also don't let it destroy you. Acceptance also applies to your emotions. When you're feeling sadness, anger, or frustration, instead of suppressing or avoiding those feelings, allow yourself to experience them fully. Emotions are like waves. They rise, peak, and eventually pass. When you accept them without judgment, you create space for healing. Instead of saying, "I shouldn't feel this way," say, "This is what I'm feeling right now, and that's okay." Acceptance doesn't mean you'll feel good all the time. It means you'll find peace even when you don't. Cultivating this mindset takes time, but with practice, you'll notice that situations that once caused you immense stress or anxiety no longer have the same hold on you. You'll develop the ability to face challenges with grace, knowing that while you can't control everything that happens, you can always control how you respond. And in that response lies your power to create peace. As you deepen your understanding of acceptance, you'll begin to notice a shift in the way you experience life's challenges. What once felt like insurmountable obstacles now seem like temporary setbacks, opportunities for growth rather than sources of endless frustration. You'll realize that peace isn't the absence of problems. It's the ability to remain calm and grounded in the midst of them. Life will always throw challenges your way, but when you embrace acceptance, you free yourself from the constant battle of wishing things were different. Consider how much energy you spend resisting the things you can't control. Perhaps you're stuck in traffic, and instead of accepting the delay, you clench the steering wheel, curse under your breath, and let your mind spiral into irritation. Or maybe you've experienced rejection or failure, And instead of accepting it as part of life's natural flow, you replay the moment over and over, analyzing what you could have done differently. This resistance doesn't change the situation, it only deepens your suffering. Acceptance allows you to release that tension and redirect your energy toward what you can control. One way to practice acceptance is through the mantra, "This moment is as it is." Whenever you find yourself resisting reality, repeat this mantra to yourself. It's a reminder that fighting against what's happening won't change it. Instead, your power lies in how you respond. When you accept the moment as it is, you create space for clarity and solutions to emerge. You're no longer wasting energy on resistance. You're channeling it into productive action. Acceptance also involves letting go of attachment to specific outcomes. Much of our suffering comes from the gap between our expectations and reality. We expect people to behave a certain way, expect our plans to go smoothly, and expect life to be fair. But life doesn't always meet those expectations, and when it doesn't, we feel disappointed, frustrated, or even betrayed. Letting go of attachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you release the need for things to unfold exactly as you envisioned them. For example, imagine you've worked hard for a promotion at work, but someone else gets it. Naturally, you feel disappointed, but clinging to the idea that you deserved it only prolongs your suffering. Letting go of that attachment doesn't mean you give up on your ambitions. It means you acknowledge the reality of the situation and focus on what you can do next. Maybe this setback is an opportunity to refine your skills, explore new opportunities, or reflect on whether this path is truly aligned with your long-term goals. Detaching from specific outcomes also applies to relationships. We often expect others to fulfill our needs, act a certain way, or validate our worth. When they don't, we feel hurt or rejected. But when you let go of those expectations, you free yourself from the emotional roller coaster of relying on others for your happiness. You realize that no one else is responsible for your inner peace. That responsibility is yours alone. This doesn't mean you lower your standards or tolerate mistreatment. It means you recognize that your happiness isn't dependent on someone else's behavior. Practicing non-attachment doesn't mean you become indifferent or stop setting goals. It means you approach life with flexibility and openness. You set intentions, do your best, and then surrender the outcome. You trust that whatever happens is part of your journey and that you have the resilience to navigate it. This mindset brings a sense of freedom because you're no longer tied to rigid expectations or fearful of failure. You're able to move through life with a sense of ease, knowing that you'll be okay no matter what. Another key aspect of cultivating inner peace is learning to forgive, not just others, but yourself. Forgiveness is often misunderstood as excusing bad behavior or forgetting the pain someone caused you. But true forgiveness is about releasing the emotional weight you've been carrying. It's about freeing yourself from resentment, anger, and bitterness, which can drain your energy and block your ability to find peace. When you hold on to resentment, it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. The only person it truly hurts is you. Forgiveness doesn't mean you have to reconcile with the person who hurt you or condone their actions. It simply means you're choosing to let go of the emotional baggage so you can move forward. You're saying, "I refuse to let this pain control me any longer." To practice forgiveness, start by acknowledging the hurt and allowing yourself to feel it fully. You can't forgive what you haven't processed. Once you've acknowledged the pain, shift your focus to the lessons you've learned from the experience. What did this situation teach you about yourself, your boundaries, or your resilience? By finding meaning in the pain, you transform it from something that holds you back into something that propels you forward. Self-forgiveness is just as important, if not more so. Many people carry guilt and shame over past mistakes, berating themselves for choices they made or opportunities they missed. But holding on to this guilt doesn't change the past. It only keeps you stuck. Self-forgiveness is an act of self-compassion. It's recognizing that you did the best you could with the knowledge and resources you had at the time. It's understanding that mistakes are part of being human and that growth comes from learning, not from self-punishment. To forgive yourself, imagine how you would speak to a close friend who made the same mistake. Would you criticize them or offer words of comfort and encouragement? Most likely you'd be compassionate, reminding them that everyone makes mistakes and that it's okay to move forward. Offer yourself that same kindness. Write a letter of forgiveness to yourself, acknowledging what happened and expressing a commitment to growth. As you do, you'll feel a sense of release, as though a weight has been lifted from your shoulders. Forgiveness, both of yourself and others, is a form of emotional liberation. It clears the space in your heart and mind that was once occupied by pain and resentment, making room for peace, joy, and new experiences. It's not a one-time event, it's a practice. There may be moments when the pain resurfaces, but each time it does, you have the choice to let it go again. The more you practice forgiveness, the easier it becomes, and the more you'll experience the freedom it brings. As you continue on this path, you'll discover that peace isn't something you achieve once and for all. It's something you cultivate daily through your thoughts, actions, and choices. You'll have moments when you feel completely at peace, and moments when life tests your patience and resolve. But with each challenge, you'll become more resilient, more grounded, and more capable of returning to that inner sanctuary of calm. One of the most powerful ways to maintain this peace is through gratitude. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's lacking to what's abundant, from what's wrong to what's right. It's a reminder that even in difficult times, there is something to be thankful for. When you cultivate gratitude, you train your mind to see the good in every situation, making it easier to maintain a positive outlook and navigate life's challenges with grace. Start a daily gratitude practice by writing down 3 things you're grateful for each morning or evening. They don't have to be big. Sometimes the smallest things bring the most joy. Maybe it's a warm cup of coffee, a kind word from a friend, or the fact that you made it through another day. As you make gratitude a habit, you'll notice a shift in your perspective. You'll become more present, more content, and more connected to the peace that already exists within you. As you continue to weave gratitude into your daily life, you'll notice that it acts like a soft cushion, protecting you from the harshness of life's challenges. Even in moments of stress or disappointment, gratitude helps soften the blow by reminding you of the good that still exists. It's not about ignoring the difficulties, but about balancing them with an awareness of life's blessings. When you train your mind to look for what's right instead of focusing on what's wrong, you cultivate a sense of resilience that keeps you grounded, no matter what life throws your way. Gratitude also strengthens your ability to stay present. One of the greatest sources of anxiety and stress is the mind's tendency to either dwell on the past or worry about the future. We replay moments of regret, wishing we had done things differently, or we project ourselves into a future filled with uncertainty, fearing outcomes that may never happen. But when you practice gratitude, you anchor yourself in the present moment, appreciating what's in front of you rather than chasing what's already gone or hasn't yet arrived. Imagine sitting outside, watching the sunset. Instead of thinking about an argument you had earlier or worrying about tomorrow's tasks, you simply take in the beauty of the colors spreading across the sky. You notice the cool breeze against your skin, the sound of birds chirping, and the sense of calm that washes over you. In that moment, you're fully present, and in that presence, you find peace. This is the power of gratitude. It pulls you out of the chaos of the mind and into the simplicity of the now, but being present isn't always easy, especially when life is chaotic or painful. That's where mindfulness comes in. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully aware of your thoughts, feelings, and surroundings without judgment. It's about observing your experience as it is, without trying to change or escape it. When you practice mindfulness, you create space between yourself and your emotions, allowing you to respond to them with intention rather than reacting impulsively. For example, if you're feeling overwhelmed by stress, instead of pushing the feeling away or letting it spiral out of control, you pause and observe it. You notice the tightness in your chest, the racing thoughts in your mind, and the urge to do something, anything, to make it stop. But instead of reacting, you simply sit with the feeling. You take a deep breath and acknowledge it. I'm feeling stressed right now. By naming the emotion, you reduce its power over you. You create a sense of detachment, understanding that the emotion is temporary and will pass, just like a wave receding from the shore. Mindfulness also helps you recognize the stories your mind creates. Often our suffering isn't caused by the event itself, but by the narrative we attach to it. For example, if you make a mistake at work, your mind might immediately jump to conclusions. I'm terrible at my job. My boss will be disappointed. What if I get fired? But when you practice mindfulness, you can catch these thoughts before they spiral. You observe them and remind yourself that they are just that, thoughts, not facts. Instead of believing the worst-case scenario, you ground yourself in reality. I made a mistake, but that doesn't define my worth. I can learn from this and move forward. This shift in perspective is liberating. It frees you from the grip of negative thought patterns and allows you to approach challenges with a clear and balanced mind. You become less reactive and more responsive, able to handle difficulties with grace rather than panic. Over time, mindfulness rewires your brain, creating new neural pathways that make calm, thoughtful responses your default mode. Incorporating breathwork into your mindfulness practice enhances its benefits. The breath is a powerful tool for calming the mind and regulating the nervous system. When you're stressed or anxious, your breathing tends to become shallow and rapid, signaling to your body that you're in a state of danger. But when you take slow, deep breaths, you activate the body's relaxation response, signaling that it's safe to let go of tension. One simple yet effective technique is the 4-7-8 breathing exercise. Inhale through your nose for a count of 4, hold your breath for a count of 7, and exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 8. Repeat this cycle several times, and you'll notice a sense of calm washing over you. This practice not only helps in the moment, but also trains your body to respond to stress more effectively over time. Another technique is body scanning, a mindfulness practice that involves bringing your awareness to different parts of your body, noticing any tension or sensations without judgment. Find a quiet space, close your eyes, and take a few deep breaths. Begin by focusing on your toes, then slowly work your way up through your legs, torso, arms, and head. As you scan each area, notice any tightness or discomfort, and imagine it melting away with each breath. This practice helps release physical tension and brings your awareness back to the present moment, grounding you in your body. Mindful movement, such as yoga or Tai Chi, also helps bridge the gap between the mind and body. Unlike intense workouts that focus solely on physical results, mindful movement emphasizes the connection between breath, body, and awareness. As you move through each pose or motion, you're encouraged to be fully present, noticing how your body feels and how your breath flows. This practice not only enhances flexibility and strength, but also calms the mind and restores energy. As you cultivate mindfulness, and integrate these practices into your life, you'll begin to experience a deeper sense of inner peace. But peace isn't just about what you do. It's also about what you let go of. One of the most important things to release is the need for control. So much of our stress comes from trying to control things that are beyond our power, other people's actions, the outcome of events, or the uncertainty of the future. But when you let go of that need for control, you free yourself from unnecessary worry. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring or give up on your goals. It means you do your best and trust the process, knowing that you can't force life to unfold exactly as you want it to. You accept that uncertainty is part of life and that you have the resilience to handle whatever comes your way. When you let go of control, you create space for life to surprise you, for unexpected opportunities to arise, and for growth to occur in ways you couldn't have planned. Trust is an essential part of this process. Trusting yourself, trusting life, and trusting that even when things don't go as planned, you're exactly where you need to be. This trust allows you to approach life with curiosity rather than fear. Instead of worrying about what might go wrong, you open yourself to the possibilities of what could go right. You become more adaptable, more open, and more at peace with the flow of life. In this state of trust and surrender, you'll find that peace is not something you need to chase or achieve. It's already within you, waiting to be uncovered. By letting go of what you can't control and embracing what you can, your thoughts, your actions, and your perspective, you create a life where peace isn't the exception, but the norm. And in that peace, you'll discover a sense of freedom, knowing that no matter what happens, you have the strength to navigate it with grace. As you embrace the freedom that comes from surrendering control, you'll notice how your relationship with life begins to shift. You're no longer trapped in the exhausting cycle of resistance, constantly fighting against reality or trying to force things into place. Instead, you're flowing with life, trusting that everything unfolds exactly as it's meant to. This doesn't mean life will be free of challenges, but it does mean you'll approach those challenges with a sense of calm and resilience that allows you to navigate them with grace. This mindset of flow is beautifully illustrated in nature. Rivers don't resist the rocks in their path. They flow around them, carving new paths over time. Trees don't fight against the wind. They bend with it, using its force to grow stronger. The sun rises and sets without needing to be told when or how. Nature operates with a quiet confidence, trusting the cycles of life without resistance. When you embrace this same mindset, you begin to see that even the obstacles you face are part of your growth. They're not here to stop you. They're here to shape you. One of the most profound shifts that happens when you let go of control is the release of fear. Fear thrives on uncertainty and the illusion of control. When you believe you must control every outcome, you live in constant anxiety, fearing failure, rejection, or disappointment. But when you surrender to the flow of life, you recognize that fear is just a projection of the mind. It's not reality. You understand that no matter what happens, you have the inner resources to handle it. Letting go of fear doesn't mean you'll never feel afraid. It means you'll no longer be paralyzed by it. When fear arises, you'll acknowledge it, observe it, and let it pass, just like any other emotion. You'll understand that fear is often a sign that you're stepping outside your comfort zone, which is where growth happens. Instead of seeing fear as something to avoid, you'll see it as a signal that you're on the edge of transformation. And with each step you take in spite of fear, you'll become stronger, more confident, and more aligned with your true self. This process of letting go also involves releasing the need for external validation. Many of us spend our lives seeking approval from others, believing that our worth is determined by how we're perceived. We chase achievements, compliments, and recognition, hoping they'll fill the void within us. But external validation is like a temporary high. It feels good in the moment, but quickly fades, leaving you craving more. True peace comes from knowing that your worth isn't tied to anyone else's opinion. It's inherent, unshakable, and doesn't require validation from the outside world. To cultivate this inner sense of worth, practice self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a friend. When you make a mistake, instead of criticizing yourself, acknowledge that you're human and that mistakes are part of growth. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small, and recognize that your value isn't tied to perfection or external success. It's rooted in your existence. One powerful exercise for building self-worth is mirror work. Stand in front of a mirror, look into your own eyes, and repeat affirmations like, "I am worthy," "I am enough," and "I love and accept myself as I am." At first, it might feel uncomfortable, especially if you've been critical of yourself for a long time. But with consistent practice, you'll begin to internalize these affirmations, and they'll become the foundation of your self-perception. You'll no longer seek validation from others because you'll have already given it to yourself. As you cultivate self-worth, you'll also find it easier to set boundaries and prioritize your well-being. You'll recognize that saying no to things that drain you isn't selfish. It's an act of self-respect. You'll stop overcommitting yourself or trying to please everyone, and instead, you'll focus on what truly matters to you. This shift allows you to conserve your energy and direct it toward the things that bring you joy, fulfillment, and peace. With this newfound sense of worth and balance, you'll begin to experience a deeper connection to the present moment. You'll no longer be consumed by regrets about the past or worries about the future, because you'll understand that the present is where life happens. Each moment will feel richer, more meaningful, and more vibrant. You'll savor the little things, the taste of your morning coffee, the warmth of the sun on your face, the sound of laughter, and realize that these small moments are the fabric of a peaceful life. Meditation is a powerful practice for deepening your connection to the present. Even just a few minutes of meditation each day can help quiet the mind, reduce stress, and increase your awareness of the now. As you sit in stillness, focus on your breath and observe your thoughts without judgment. When your mind wanders, gently bring it back to your breath. Over time, you'll develop the ability to carry this mindfulness into your daily life, finding peace not only during meditation, but in every moment. Another way to stay present is to engage in activities that fully absorb your attention. This could be anything from painting, to cooking, to hiking. The key is to immerse yourself in the experience, allowing your mind to rest from its constant chatter. When you're fully present, worries fade into the background, and you experience a sense of flow, a state where you're completely in the moment and time seems to stand still. In this state, you're not thinking about what's next or what went wrong. You're simply being. Living in the present also means embracing impermanence, the understanding that everything in life is temporary. Joy, sorrow, success, failure, none of it lasts forever. When you accept this, you stop clinging to the highs or fearing the lows. You learn to appreciate the good moments while they last, and to navigate the difficult ones with the knowledge that they, too, will pass. This perspective brings a sense of peace, because you're no longer trying to hold on to things or resist change.